The Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus 5G and the Samsung Galaxy S23 FE both target an audience that wants premium flagship-like features and without breaking the bank. But here's where things are different. Please stay with me. At launch, the Samsung was about $600, but currently you can get this device for $350 to $400, which is about the price for the Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus 5G, about $330. Now, are you better off getting the new Redmi or the Samsung from last year? That's what we're going to find out in this video, and so without taking much of your time, yo guys, let's get started. When you first crack open the boxes, both smartphones stick to conventional packaging. Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus gives you a standard fare, a phone, a 90-watt charger, which is always good to see included, a USB-A to Type-C cable, a SIM ejector tool, and a TPU case. Redmi is thoughtful enough to consider the fragility of this device, the back glass here, so they toss in that case to keep you protected from day one. Samsung kind of follows suit. In the box you get a USB-C to C cable and some paperwork, but there is no charger within this box and also no earphone. The Samsung 23 FE cuts the cost in this department by skipping the charger entirely. You'll have to bring your own charger. Taking these devices out of the boxes, you'll immediately notice differences in how they feel and handle. The Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus 5G has slightly more heft at 210 grams and is marginally thicker at 8.7 millimeters. Honestly, it feels pretty robust, designed to survive a few oops moments without getting stressed. Its IP68K water and dust resistance combination could withstand deep dives and rough elements, as well as the S23 FE's standard IP68 rating. Now, the Galaxy S23 FE is slightly lighter and excellent for easier single-hand usage. While it's missing the military-grade ruggedness of the Redmi, Samsung toned this back a bit but still maintains the Gorilla Glass 5 on both the front and the back, and that gives you this premium feel. It's all about sleekness here. While the Redmi's glass back might feel more premium and appeal to some people, Samsung edges ahead with metal, its lighter body, and the more precise ergonomics. For me, the Samsung is smaller and should be easier in the hands, but because of the curved chassis of the Redmi here, it actually feels better in the hand. It all boils down to what you prefer. By the way, both devices have dual SIM trays with no micro SD card slot to expand the storage. Both devices offer a stereo speaker setup for audio, and I have to say, they don't disappoint. On the Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus, you'll get high-res audio with quite punchy outputs, great for watching videos and casual gaming, plus Bluetooth 5.4 with high-res wireless audio support. It's solid despite lacking the headphone jack on this device. Now onto the S23 FE, which may not boast of high-res audio labels, but Samsung's tuning gives you clear, immersive sound with rich bass for a mid-ranger. Actually, it sounds brighter at the higher frequencies. Now, if you pair that with the Bluetooth 5.3 on this device, your wireless experience will be seamless, especially if you're like me and would love to pair this device with the Galaxy Buds. Now, both of these devices do well, but Samsung sound has this little bit extra clarity, and Redmi has this little bit more oomph in the bass. By the way, no headphone jack for both of these devices like I mentioned. Now let's move over to the displays, because for most of us, the screen is where the magic happens. Binge watching, gaming, scrolling, you name it. The Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus flaunts a 6.67-inch curved AMOLED display with a 2.7K resolution at about 450 ppi. You have HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision. Now the refresh rate on this device is fast at 120 Hz. It reaches peak brightness levels of up to 3000 nits. That's like using a tactical flashlight outdoors. It might be overkill, but you won't have any legibility issues under the sun. Plus you have 120 Hz refresh rate, Dolby Vision, and HDR10 Plus. You actually have a cinema quality experience in your pockets with this device. The Galaxy S23 FE isn't slacking either. It has a 6.4-inch dynamic AMOLED 2X display that also refreshes at 120 Hz. The peak brightness here is 1450 nits. While it's not as blindingly bright as a Redmi screen, Samsung's displays have always been known for their rich contrast and saturated colors, giving you these sharp visuals that are lovely to look at. For the colors, I somehow prefer the warmer display on the Redmi, even though you can adjust the white balance on the Samsung. But when you consider the bigger Redmi display, the brighter at peak brightness, and also the higher resolution with this smartphone, you might want to go in that direction. That is not to say the Samsung has a bad display. Again, consider that it's a flat display against a curved display on Redmi. Let me know which you prefer in the comment section below. Both smartphones offer solid performance, but the Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus and the Galaxy S23 FE take two different approaches. The Redmi here runs on Snapdragon 7S Gen 3 S23, an efficient yet powerful chipset for everyday use. Plus you have HyperOS on top of Android 14, which makes it fresh and responsive. When it comes to casual gaming, you won't be pushing this device to the extreme levels of gaming like the flagship devices, but the 6200 mAh battery gives you plenty of endurance on the Redmi. On the other hand, the Samsung Galaxy S23 FE is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, and that's for the US audience, or the Exynos 2200 outside the United States, which I have here. Between the two, the Snapdragon is hands down the smoother experience. You appreciate its performance for gaming and multitasking alike. Not to bash the Exynos 2200, it handles day-to-day tasks well, and is actually better than the processor you have on the Redmi. There's no way to twist this. Whether you get the Exynos or Snapdragon on the S23 FE, you'd get a better performance than the Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus. Both lack a microSD card slot, so they cannot expand the storage. On the gaming front, you'll likely have a better experience on the S23 FE, given the more powerful Adreno 730 or the X-Clips 920 GPU, depending on the model. That's where the Redmi's Adreno 720 falls just a notch behind. Samsung will give you a smoother gaming, while the Redmi is for gamers who are okay with slight performance drops on a budget. Both devices are currently on Android 14 with their various skins, HyperOS and One UI 6.1. However, Samsung guarantees 4 years of software updates, which is a killer for longevity. And Redmi offers 3 years of updates, so they are basically going to end up on the same OS since Samsung is a year older. For those who like to see benchmark scores, here are the Antutu Geekbench and 3D Mark scores on both devices to give you an idea of what you get. Now let's break down the camera setups here, because let's face it, cameras have become everything in smartphones these days. The Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus sports a triple camera setup, headlined by a 50 megapixel main sensor, a 50 megapixel telephoto and an 8 megapixel ultra-wide shooter. It has this 2.5x optical zoom, which is great for detailed shots from a distance. Now, the video side shoots 4K, and Samsung's camera setup here features a 50 megapixel main shooter, an 8 megapixel telephoto lens with 3x optical zoom, and a 12 megapixel ultra-wide. There's a 10 megapixel selfie camera on the Samsung, and videos can be recorded at up to 4K 60 FPS on the S23 FE. Now to the rear camera performance, it becomes clear that the Samsung Galaxy S23 FE has the edge in terms of the skin tone accuracy, delivering better white balance and more overall detail. However, both devices share a tendency to slightly boost colors, a common trick for making social media ready photos. In terms of the exposure, Samsung once again handled tricky lighting situations and scenarios better, and also did better with the dynamic range handling. When shooting portraits, it's worth noting that the Redmi zooms in, and this limits its ability to capture intricate details. At this zoom level, Samsung continues to shine with better skin detail, color accuracy, and background separation. Ultra-wide cameras are very similar. Both produce decent results, though neither really impresses along the edges, where you can see some fall-off in detail. Now, the real difference between these two cameras come down to the white balance in terms of the ultra-wide photos, which can vary between the devices. Now, if you zoom in to 2x, both smartphones rely on digital zoom from the main sensors, and at this point, you can see that Samsung does a better job at color grading, resulting in more pleasant outputs. However, once you start using the dedicated telephoto lenses, Redmi kicks in at 2.5x zoom and Samsung starts at 3x zoom. Surprisingly, in these zoom ranges, I often prefer the results from the Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus. And when we come to low light photos, Redmi excelled in reducing light flares and generally delivered sharper images, and I prefer it. To the front cameras, I noticed that the Redmi had a slight magenta tint and produced softer images compared to its rival. The Galaxy S23 FE noticeably captured more detail on my face. Regarding portrait mode with the front-facing camera, both devices struggle with the edge detection, but Samsung clearly pulled ahead with cleaner results and critically maintained better details in the image. Both smartphones have pretty solid stabilization for rear videos, which is great to see. And that being said, Samsung handled dynamic lighting better, more naturally in scenarios like sunlit skies. The Redmi offers slightly more contrast in its videos, but for the shots where uneven lighting is present, Samsung's dynamic range makes a stronger case. Still, the Redmi holds its ground, offering respectable stabilization, and for the front video on these devices, the Redmi maxes out at 1080p and Samsung goes up to 4K in resolution. Now, despite being the underdog, it handled the video colors better than expected, that's for the Redmi, especially with how it handled blacks in the frame. I did notice a bit more detail from the Samsung, but honestly, the Redmi performed so well in 1080p that I'll be happy with the vlogs for Instagram stories. It's a solid contender. Now the truth is, I still choose the Galaxy S23 FE when it comes to overall camera performance. From better detail in the shots to stronger front-facing camera experience and more polished video outputs, it just pulls ahead in most scenarios. By the way, if you're finding this comparison helpful in making your decision, help others find it too by hitting on the subscribe button and the like button, as it does help us a bunch. Thank you. The Samsung Galaxy S23 FE currently retails at $350 on Amazon, or about 800,000 naira here in Nigeria, while the Redmi retails at $330 on AliExpress, or somewhere around 625,000 naira in Nigeria for the 12 gigs and 256 storage variants, which is the one I have here. The Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus storms ahead with an impressive 6200 mAh battery, accompanied by a 90-watt fast charger. You can get to 60% in just 20 minutes, with excellent endurance, right? And this is perfect for heavy users and gamers. The S23 FE has a smaller 4500 mAh battery that charges only at 25 watts, taking you to around 50% in about half an hour. Now, it's decent but not groundbreaking. You get 15 watts wireless charging, a plus here, and even reverse wireless charging to juice up other accessories. But also, you do not get a charger from within the box. For me, the Redmi is the better device in this department, no doubt, except for the lack of wireless charging feature, which is a plus on this other device. Now, time to make a call. At this price point, the S23 FE is the smarter buy right now. You're getting flagship-grade performance, better cameras, and Samsung's proven update track record. The Redmi puts up a great fight with its massive battery and brighter display, but Samsung's overall package is hard to beat at this discounted price. Want to see how the S23 FE compares to its successor, the S24 FE? Check it out here. Also check out this video where I reviewed the S24 FE. Here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cuídate.